I'm not the biggest fan of sushi. You know what, Paul? I completely...
Here you go, sir. Your sushi's ready.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. You know something, Paul? I'll completely agree with you. Sushi is disgusting, man. Why in the world would anyone eat sushi? Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, back with another exciting edition of Into the Void! Where I share some of your hottest takes and criticisms of my videos and reviews that you sent me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Discord. And don't worry, I'm not gonna heavily plug my Discord like I did in the previous videos. Wink, wink, wink. Alright, Taka. Alright, Taka. Let's get this started. Dragon Ball is better than Z, Super, and GT combined. Also, Super wasn't bad, but the ending to GT is better than Z's. Congratulations, my friend! You just won the award for the most agreeable comment I've read today. Can we give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? Jimmy, come on. I could not agree with you more, Corner Abba. Dragon Ball is by far the most superior series of the three. It's the best series in the franchise, and for three main reasons. The most important one, the biggest one being, is that every character in Dragon Ball mattered. They served a purpose to the overall story, and they weren't just irrelevant pieces that have to show up because they were in the previous series. That was my biggest complaint with Z and Super. After the Saiyans were introduced, after the concept of this universe being way bigger than just Earth, all the human characters, they became irrelevant. They didn't serve any real purpose other than being there for fan service because they were in Dragon Ball. Whereas in Dragon Ball, every character mattered. Every character served a purpose. Tien, Chaozu, Puar, Yamcha, Bulma, Master Roshi, they were still integral to the story. They helped in the story, and they weren't like these characters that were weak and pathetic like they are in Dragon Ball Z and Super. I mean, Taka, when was the last time Yamcha did something that wasn't treated as a joke? Am I right? I mean, the whole bit of him in the Saiyan saga, in fact, his whole bit throughout Z and Super is that he's a pathetic nobody now. He can't do shit. And that's such a shame because Yamcha was actually one of the strongest humans in the world. He used to go toe-to-toe with Goku back in the day. Now he can't even keep up with them. The second thing that made Dragon Ball more superior than Z is that the whole adventure aspect, the story was more interesting than in Dragon Ball Z. You could say that the battle sequences were great, but the battle sequences is not what made Dragon Ball Dragon Ball. It was Goku's journey with Bulma to find these Dragon Balls and the shenanigans that they got into. And that whole adventure aspect was so fun and thrilling. It's definitely great for like if you're a kid. That's a great show to watch. And then the third and final thing, the Dragon Balls. The Dragon Balls were the driving force of the story. In Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super, I mean, they're not really the driving force. Maybe in the Saiyan saga and a little bit of the Frieza saga. But like after the Frieza saga, the Dragon Balls are like, they're kind of just there. It's not like the journey that you have to go through in order to get this wish. In Dragon Ball, they didn't even know whether or not these Dragon Balls were real things because no one's ever summoned the Dragon Ball. They haven't summoned them in like thousands of years. So there's this whole mythical essence to the Dragon Ball, this whole intrigue and mystery to them. Are they actually going to, be able to make a wish? But in later series, like getting the Dragon Balls just seems like an annoying task. Like, oh, we gotta get the Dragon Balls because Krillin died for the 50th time. So yeah, those three reasons are why I feel like Dragon Ball is the superior show when compared to every other Dragon Ball series. Not only that, as much as the fighting has gotten better with each new series, the fighting in Dragon Ball felt more impactful and more meaningful. There was actually a challenge there. Whereas in, subsequent series, it almost feels as though, although they do face tougher and tougher opponents, it doesn't really feel like it's even Stevens all the time. Claire and Owen are the worst human characters in the Jurassic Park franchise. They are such idiots and eco-terrorists. Look at their actions in Fallen Kingdom. This is why I love Ian Malcolm so much. I mean, they're not good characters, but the worst characters in the Jurassic Park franchise, I mean, I could think of so many other characters I would consider worse. Like, this character, I never liked this character whatsoever. He was such an annoying character. I'm glad that he died. And honestly speaking, he was kind of irrelevant because he failed at his task and it led to nothing. So, I mean, it didn't really matter. Or how about this character? This character was just a complete asshole. It was terrible. Maybe High Guardian Spice will be really cute and will prove us wrong about it being pandering BS. For the record, feminism is not inherently bad, it's just its reputation was ruined by extremists. If you're going to say all feminism is pandering, that's even more fucked up. I don't think any of us really felt as though High Guardian Spice was going to be complete shit. It's just we didn't like what it stood for. We didn't like what type of message it was trying to send. Where they were really pushing the fact that it's diverse and we got 50% of our creative staff is female, the entire writing staff is female. Because we didn't care about it. All we cared about is what's the story going to be? Who are these characters? The problem with the video that they made to promote High Guardian Spice is that very thing. It didn't promote the show. It promoted the fact that it was pushing for equality and diversity and women being in the creative field, which is not a bad thing, but we don't care to hear about that. We care about the content. We care about the show. You've told us very little about the show. You've shown us some artwork. You've give us these vague things like, oh, it's going to make you feel happy and it's such a warm and a fun. It's going to make you feel great. But you don't tell us like, okay, it takes place in this world. It follows these characters. They're trying to do this, and this. The main character is like this, and this. If they focused more on describing the world, its characters, and the story of High Guardian Spice, I don't think many of us would be as angry. But because you decide to focus on the feminism aspect, that annoyed the shit out of us. And I don't necessarily disagree with feminism. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about whenever I talk about feminism is that people think I'm against feminism. I'm not. If anything, I consider myself a feminist, or I believe wholeheartedly about feminist ideology. I believe in equality of the sexes. That's why if a story written by a bunch of women is bad, I'm going to say it's bad. Not because it's bad because women wrote it, but because it's just a bad story. But sometimes if you criticize a woman or if you criticize a person of color, they'll scream racism, they'll scream sexism, and that's the toxic feminism you're talking about. The extremists over there. We all disagree with the extremists. They do not represent all of feminism. They represent a part of feminism. If it wasn't for nostalgia, Naruto wouldn't have nearly the love and hype it is given nowadays. I mean, I wouldn't say it's loved or hyped. In fact, if I remember correctly, a lot of people in our community consider Naruto to be overrated or overhyped as an anime series. Now, I don't think it's the greatest, but Naruto holds a very special place in my heart because it was the anime that reintroduced me to anime. When I watched Naruto, I was a middle schooler who kind of stopped watching anime or didn't even know that shows like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, and even Pokemon were anime. They were shows from a different country. I thought they were made in America. Naruto not only reintroduced me to anime and reignited my love for anime, but it also taught me that anime is a thing. I didn't even know about that. So yeah, holds a very special place in my heart. Still don't think it's the greatest, and I don't know if nostalgia is why people love and hype it so much because, again, I don't think it's as loved or as hyped as it was back in the day. You couldn't escape Naruto back in the early to mid 2000s. It was everywhere. And you could make that argument for a lot of anime out there. You could almost argue that Dragon Ball Super only exists because of the nostalgia, the love that a lot of kids had for Dragon Ball Z growing up. Same thing for One Piece or Yu Yu Hakusho to a certain degree, maybe Full Metal Alchemist. Like, nostalgia does play a role in a lot of anime that have come out back in the day. It's not just Naruto. Is a solid guilty pleasure film. No, absolutely not. It's trash. It's doo-doo, it's caca, it's a bad superhero film. It's a film that would have been good in the 90s and not in the late 2010s. It's not a good guilty pleasure film. You know what's a good guilty pleasure thing? The song Venom. I mean, dude, Taka, I kid you not. The chorus is like, Venom! I don't know what hit him, Venom, but I go Venom. It's so stupid. I felt like Eminem was writing his like, oh, I gotta write this goddamn song for Sony for their Venom film. Venom, gotta get him, go him. Oh, I got it. Venom, gotta get him. Now that's a guilty pleasure. Guns N' Roses, the opening to Bacano, is a better OP than Tank, the opening to Cowboy Bebop. Boy, you're about to start a flame war in the comments section, man. I like both songs. I think both are great in their own right. Very jazzy, upbeat, bursting with energy. I can listen to them all day. But if you want to argue which one's the more iconic song, which one is better stylistically or brings more to the table, I have to say that Tank is the better song structurally. Just the different twists and turns that song takes. The build-up is incredible. Boom, 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 boom. You got the bass guitar, and then you got the drums coming in, and then and it slowly increases, and then it goes into this epic finale. The Bacano, it's very steady, you know, and the ending is like very, which honestly is very underwhelming for its conclusion. You would think that it would all be building up to something. I would say Bacano, the opening to Bacano, is more of a contemporary song, whereas Tank is more of a classic version of jazz. And again, I love the build up with Tank, whereas Guns N' Roses kind of has ebbs and flows with the music. Like sometimes it has very exciting moments, sometimes it's very chill and relaxed. And I didn't like the singing. There's a singing version of Guns N' Roses, which is like the girl's like, you can't even hear her singing because she's speaking so low, and the music behind her is so loud. So while I like both songs, I disagree with you that Guns N' Roses is better. Not only is Tank just a better song structurally, just a well put together song, but it's more iconic than Guns N' Roses. People will remember Tank. The moment you hear Tank, you know exactly what you're hearing. You play Guns N' Roses, it might take people a few minutes to catch what it is. I'd take Dark Phoenix over Hellboy 2019. Hey, Taka, you remember when we were kids and we would dare each other to do the most disgusting things like, hey, would you rather lick my armpit or lick the bottom of my foot? Either way, both are just pretty terrible choices. That's what this reminds me of. Like, would I rather want to jump off a cliff or jump off a building? I mean, they're both, at the end of the day, it's going to lead to something awful. At the end of the day, both of these films suck. It's just which one's more torturous. I didn't see Hellboy 2019. I heard bad things. It looked interesting, though. There were some interesting qualities, but there weren't a lot of high expectations for Hellboy. It was just, you know, they tried something different. They were trying something new. They didn't do so well. But as for Dark Phoenix, nah, man, there was just more backing there. I feel like that was the bigger failure. The romances in Toradora and Chunibyo come out of nowhere and make no sense. What? Both shows do an exemplary job at fleshing out the romance, the connection, and the love between the two leads. What do you mean it comes out of nowhere? It makes no sense. For example, Toradora, my favorite of the two, did a really great job at fleshing out the relationship and blooming romance between Ryuji and Taiga. They start off as enemies or people that just don't really like each other or are not fond of each other. They both realize that they like each other's best friends, and because of that, they try to help each other out, hook each other up with their best friends. But through them spending more time with each other, bonding with each other, realizing that they have a lot more in common, they end up forming a strong relationship and bond and later fall in love with each other. That's not coming out of nowhere. That is steady character growth. That is a great build up with the story. It's not like all of a sudden, like, Taiga sees Ryuji walking down the hallway and is like, I'm in love now. That's not what happened. They took multiple episodes to build up this relationship. And then it makes no sense. What doesn't make sense about it? Again, they spent more time with each other than the crushes that they had. And through the moments that they spent, they realized, wow, I kind of like this person. I'm bonding with them. It actually reminds me of a time when I was in middle school. There was a girl that I used to spend a lot of time with. I was trying to hook her up with my friend. And then one day she just pulls me to the side and says, hey, I don't like that guy. I like you. And then I started realizing, well, I kind of bond with her and I get along with her very well. I kind of like her too. So we ended up dating. It happens. It makes sense. Sometimes the one that you like or the one that you form a stronger bond with isn't the person you're chasing. It's the person that's right next to you. And the same thing goes with Chunibyo. They form a club together. They hang out. They have these delusions. At first, he's kind of hesitant to connect with the main chick, but through their mutual connection, through their bonding, they fell in love with each other. And I actually find it quite coincidental that you chose these two animes, as when I reviewed Chunibyo, the one anime I compared it to was Toradora. Most live-action movies suck and are much worse than their original counterpart. Very few of them are actually good, and lately they've been overdoing it with all these live-action films. I'm gonna go on a limb here, Smash Flood, and say that you're referring to the Disney live-action films. Am I right? What do you guys think? You think they're referring to the Disney live-action films? I think they are, Taka, right? And you're not gonna hear any complaints from me. I 100% agree. Most of them do suck. And Shimmy is flicking me off right now because she really loved The Lion King, even though both Taka and I agree it fucking sucked. It's awful. It does not compare to the original. Now, just like you said, some of them are good. I liked Cinderella. I really liked The Jungle Book. But the others, Beauty and the Beast, this Maleficent, Lion King, Dumbo, Aladdin, what the fuck? Like, seriously. That's like a spit. Each of these live-action remakes to me just feels like a spit in somebody's face and legacy. I feel like we've reached the point of peak Disney nostalgia, peak Disney live-action movie remakes, because a lot of people did not like The Lion King. It did make $1 billion. I know you're going to say that, Shimmy. It did make $1 billion at the box office, but just because something made money does not mean that it was a success. Look, The Last Airbender by M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong made a lot of money. Okay? That don't mean that film was good. That doesn't mean that film was good. It's just because a lot of people knew the brand. They just decided to watch the movie. So, yeah. I don't want to hear the whole, oh, it made $1 billion at the box office. That doesn't speak to the quality of the film. That's just the nostalgia speaking. Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is overrated. I don't agree with you there, Trenton. I really liked My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It's such a well-done album. So many great songs in there. Monster, All the Lights, Power, Runaway. Can We Get Much Higher? I forgot what the name of that song is, but it's the one that goes, Can we get much higher? So high. Kanye West was just on his A game production-wise with that entire album. It was challenging, it was different, it was interesting, engaging, entertaining. Again, just a lot of great songs in there. I wouldn't consider it his best album. I still think that College Dropout and Graduation, they're kind of tied for his best album. Late Registration is really good. I also like Life of Pablo. In fact, Taka and I really like Life of Pablo. We listened to that one a lot. The one album I think is his most overrated album, honestly, is 808s and Heartbreaks. I don't really like that album. There's some songs I kind of like Paranoid was a pretty good song. But other than that, I didn't really get the love or the buzz for that one. Maybe you gotta be in a certain headspace to really love that song, because he was in a dark place when he made that album. He lost his mom, his fiance left him. I mean, it was a pretty... That should have been the Dark Twisted Fantasy right there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes this edition of Into the Be sure to let me know what you guys thought about the video, and stay tuned for another edition in about maybe 2 or so weeks if Taka and I get to it. And if you would like to contribute to it, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and join my Discord. I know I didn't say I was going to plug it, but here I am plugging it. But until the next Into the Void video comes, guys. If you'd like to see more videos on this channel, be a part of the Black Critic Crew, please hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm Tony Wilder II, diving into the void once more as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.